we're going to go ahead and get started. Melissa, if you want to record starting now, that'd be great. Thank you for joining this morning. We are two-sided here right now, have been providing resources through our partners at Valley Metro and downtown Tempe to all the businesses impacted by streetcar construction over the last couple of years. And given the current climate of the world, wanted to provide resources to those businesses as we continue on, and, particularly in Tempe, and are just grateful for you taking the time to join. So this morning, we have invited our partner Aldo Aprile, who is a longtime certified public accountant who has been navigating this whole process, seeing a lot of things change, helping businesses go through it. And there's just a lot of information incoming every day, changing every hour. So this today is the most up-to-date information we can get for you if you're applying for these opportunities. Aldo can share the difference between the current opportunities that are available out there. I'll tell you what I know from what I've learned this morning. There's a lot of confusion and confliction regarding the PPP process with applying through your bank or your credit union. From what I learned, the banks and credit unions are still getting information right now about how to service those opportunities for small businesses that have been given to them. They actually don't know how Bank of America is even starting because they're still having information coming in. So Aldo might be able to share more, but from what I've learned, the reason they're not servicing you, even if you reach out to them, is because they're waiting and getting more information now, trying to figure out how to handle it. So we're asking everybody to stay patient. As soon as we have more information, we're going to get it to you. So just hang in there. But I'm going to give it over to Aldo, and he's going to provide expertise on what he's seeing that'll hopefully be helpful for you this morning. So Aldo, all yours.
Thank you. Good morning, guys. I appreciate the you guys taking the time here. I know these are not fun times, and there is a lot of confusion. My objective is to help you navigate that, answer your questions. Again, things do change by the minute, but hopefully to be of service and at least provide a little more clarity in regards to that situation. What I've done, actually, if you look at your chat box, I added 3 links. The first one is the actual application or the PDF copy, so you get kind of ready to know what you fill out. It's a pretty straightforward application. It's a 2-page application. There are some disclosures or whatnot, but it's pretty straightforward. The other one is the fact sheet as the things stand right now. And that's straight up from the Treasury SBA department or whatnot. And the last one, again, is a link to the funding options or relief options that we have through the Corona environment or whatnot. So I think what we want to do first is kind of look at the SBA portal and just look at the options, and then we can definitely, I guess, Thomas, if that's okay with you, open up the floor for Q&A. Is that what we want to do? So let me do this, and let me share my screen as well. Please stand by. All right. So I'm having trouble loading up that page. All right, can you see the page there, Thomas?
No, you'll have to just hit share screen.
That's what I thought I did. All right, here we are. So here I am on the SBA.gov website. And these are the funding options as we hear now. I mean, definitely the talk right now is the Paycheck Protection Program. Something new that just kind of came down the pipeline is the $10,000 grant through the EIDL loan advance or whatnot. And again, we've talked about the SB Express Loan Bridge and the debt relief. My assumption is that you guys are more interested in the PPP and the $10,000 Advantage grant or whatnot. They're both trying to accomplish pretty much the same thing. It's just two different flavors, I would say, depending on what your needs are or your objectives are. What I like about the $10,000 grant is funding is extremely quick. Again, I don't have any witnesses per se, it's continuing that discussion, but according to the website, it takes about 3 days from the application. Once it's approved, the funding should be in 3 business days or whatnot. They will ask you for your banking information so you can deposit the money straight up into your checking account. I think it's an option. Definitely, it serves a purpose. It could be up to $10,000. So it's not 10,000, it's gonna be up to $10,000. That's gonna be based on your needs as well. And it does not have to be repaid. The funds are used to pay people that are on sick leave due to the coronavirus. The funds are used to maintain payroll to retain employees during these times. Meeting increased cost to obtain materials and available right now. Making rent or mortgage payments. And the last one, which I think is a very broad definition, it says repaying obligations that cannot be met due to revenue losses. So to me, and again, there's no more details on that. I've done the research, but to me, that's pretty much any monies that you owe, accounts payable. Again, I have not seen anything that says otherwise. It's a pretty broad definition. So, hopefully we can get more clarity down the road, but that's the way I read it at this point in time. The good news, again, there is no personal guarantee on that. There is no collateral. If you're a sole proprietor, there's not gonna, as far as I know, there's not gonna be there will be a credit check. You're a sole proprietor. Any owner of your organization that has 20% more ownership will get a credit check. But again, honestly, if your credit is not that good, you can definitely look at explaining the reason why your credit is not in the best shape or whatnot. And if you still get because you're applying for a loan, the $10,000 is an advance that is forgivable. If you're not approved for the loan, you still are able to keep the money, so you don't have to return it. And you can still apply for the PPP loan, but again, if they forgive you the $10,000 or whatever amount is forgiven through this grant, you have to deduct that forgiveness from the PPP loan. So you cannot do the double dip or whatnot on that. See here. And we can definitely go over the highlights for the Paycheck Protection Program. Is that something you want to do as well, Thomas? Or should I reopen the floor for questions?
If you have any questions, don't be shy. You're welcome to put them in the chat box and I can relay them to Aldo as he's going through. So if anybody has anything right now, we can, of course, answer them right now.
Okay. So let's just go over the fact sheet then on the PPP loan. Let me just share the screen here. And this is the latest that we have. So technically you could start applying today on April 3rd. If you're a small business and, or a sole proprietor, as Thomas has stated already, only B of A at this point in time, it has that ability and we don't even know how. Starting April 10th, independent contractors and self-employed individuals can apply. So this is ones that may create some confusion because I know some sole proprietors that are independent contractors per se. In my opinion, if you have that doubt, apply now whenever the application links are open and let them tell you that, that you have to wait until the 10th or whatnot. Because to me, there is really no clarity for me. So I would just assume that any sole proprietor or somebody who files a Schedule C, for tax purposes, they're filing as a sole proprietor. Again, you can apply through your authorized credit union or banking institutions. Thomas has done a great job providing local lenders that are willing and happy to help on that. Who can apply? All businesses, including nonprofits, veteran organizations, tribal business concerns, sole proprietors, and so on. I know there was a question of what type of nonprofits could apply, and really it's only C3s and C19s. That's it. So if you are an association, whether it is kind of like an alumni association or whatnot, that would not qualify, or a chamber of commerce, that would not qualify. Only a C3. Yeah, again, you have 500 employees or less. Again, there are some exceptions or whatnot that you can definitely drill more down into. And what do you need to apply? Complete the application, which is on the link as well. It's pretty straightforward. The biggest thing is, how do we figure this out? I have a spreadsheet, actually, like a mock spreadsheet that I can show you guys to, kind of walk you through what we're doing. So actually, why don't we do that right now? Because I think it would be beneficial for people to look at what I put together here. Hold on one second.
Hey, Aldo, I have a question coming in.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so we have somebody letting us know they had 16 part-time employees.
Right.
Their total hours only equates to 4.2 full-time employees.
Yeah, FTEs. Yeah.
Correct. So they've laid off 12 of them.
Right.
And is asking, can they rehire, let's say 4 or 5 of them, pay them full-time to do repairs and maintenance rather than rehiring all of them?
Right.
With doors being closed, they don't have work for 16 people. So is that a possibility?
That's a really great question. I'm assuming it's a restaurant because I have been having that conversation with all, clients of mine. Honestly, I do not know. There is no clarity really on that. Hopefully we'll get some more guidance today, because it seems to me that even when I read the details here, it seems that you have to bring the people that were working for you back, all of them or something like that. One of the requirements is that, let's say you bring somebody else back, you cannot pay them less than 25% of whatever they were making before. So let's say if they were making $1,000 a month or whatnot, you at least will have to pay that person $750. So, kind of a side note, at least from my perspective, what it seems to be from my perspective is, yeah, we want to bring people back, but the way the government is directing this is kind of the business owners being like a quasi unemployment agency. So it's more about handing out checks than really getting it done, especially for bars and restaurants and stuff like that. You cannot bring all your full force. I mean, sales are not going to go up that much. And you will have, people, either sitting idle or staying at home collecting a check. So right now there is no more clarity on that. So hopefully I answered the question. The answer is I really don't know at this point in time.
So for the person that asked that, we'll get your contact information. And if, as that gets cleared up today or in the coming days, we'll stay in touch with you to try to get that answered. Next question is, Aldo, can you just explain the basic differences between the two loan programs? They're both forgivable if funds are properly used for expenses,
right.
That kind of stuff. Yeah.
So one is definitely much faster to get the funds. One is the EIDL program. You have to apply through the SBA website. So you can go, again, I provide you that link. You can apply today and get that done. You do not have to go through a bank. So that's one of the big differences. I have not gone through the application process myself. I've heard of other people that have not shown me the process myself. I'm probably going to do a mock application later today. My assumption is you will put the amount that you're requesting. So it could be $10,000 or it could be more. But if you ask for more, they'll give you the $10,000 in 3 days. The rest is still going to be financed at 3.75%. The amortization on that is going to be up to 10 years, up to 30 years, I believe, but it's going to be on a case-to-case basis, depending on what your needs are and the size of the loan. And I'm sure they're going to take a look at, your ability to make that repayment. Conversely, the PPP loan is definitely based on the amount of payroll, 2.5 times the average monthly payroll. Supposedly it's going to take, what I hear from banks or whatnot, it's going to, once the application is completed or approved, it takes about 5 business days for funding. Again, that's, the way things are going on right now, I don't know if that's going to be the case. I hope it is. Also, the PPP loan, there is a deferment on the payment. Could be 6 months to up to 12 months. And again, that's going to be up to the banking institution. Here's the kicker on the PPP loan. If for whatever reason you do not qualify for the forgiveness of the loan, the payback period is 24 months. I heard before it was, they're throwing around up to 10 years, but there has been clarification on the last, the last information they put out there, that is not, it's going to be according to the interim final rule. Yeah, it's kind of ironic. They call it interim final. I don't know how that works, but that's the government for you. They have a 2-year payment period. And as far as I understand it, the 2-year period starts after the 6-month deferment period. So that's a big one because, when you're doing, getting a loan, even at 1%, and I could run a table here. Let's say you get, I don't know, $25,000 and you have to make monthly payments of over $1,000 for a 24-month period. So definitely it's a big chunk of money to pay back for sure. And, and again, we hope the economy is back and running, but that's the caveat if you're not able to meet those requirements for debt forgiveness. So what I caution people is really take a look at both loans. I know there's a lot of excitement and we want to apply for, whatever is out there, but it's got to make sense for your business. Like the example that you had from that business owner that you want to bring probably half your workforce, put them on a full-time basis and, do other things that were not their normal job duties or whatnot. So
Aldo, really quickly, if you apply for the SBA loan and find out what you're being offered, let's say it's $500,000,
right?
Can you turn it down before accepting the money?
As far as I know, that's the case. They cannot force you. You can apply for it, and then you will have to sign. Just like any other standard loan. Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't have to accept that loan.
So what I've been hearing from businesses from Local First Arizona is that the application process 10 days ago was really complicated, and they've simplified it and made it a lot faster and easier.
Right.
So we are recommending businesses at least just go through it, get it in, get in the queue, because if you determine later you're going to need it, you're just going to be later in line. So go ahead and just go through the application, get it in, and you can turn down the funds if you decide it's not right for your business later.
Right. And to add to that, my assumption would be, because there is, again, not a lot of information, is you could probably adjust up or down the amount of the loan. So going in, you think, okay, I'm going to need X number of dollars, then you reassess your situation and it may be up or down. So I would be surprised if they don't make that accommodation based on the fact that things are changing so rapidly.
Yeah. All right. Next question coming through is, a bank is denying existing customers the application process because they don't have a pre-existing lending relationship with them. Is this okay? I think, Aldo, you could share too. We don't know if it's okay. We actually don't know how banks are only servicing specific people or not. It's somewhat up to them as private institutions at this point. Mm-hmm. But again, what we've heard and what we've learned is that all the banks and credit unions don't have all the information they need to start servicing the PPPs.
Yeah, as far as I know, I mean, one thing is banking relationship, right? But the other thing is you do not have to be denied for a standard loan. They have waived that requirement to be to apply for an SBA loan. So,
correct. Yeah. Next question. In order to receive PPP funds, does a business that is currently closed have to open back up again?
Yeah, that's what, and that's the trick part. And that's what I was saying. It almost makes the business owner act like a quasi-unemployment office. Maybe you don't have to be open. Maybe as long as you're writing checks, maybe that's all you need. You know, as long as you're paying your people, as long as you're paying your other authorized expenses such as rent, utilities, or whatnot, you'll be okay. I don't think they can force you to operate. And you know, and again, the assumption is you want people to open up the business, but I don't see that the requirement you have to be operating, but you do have to bring your people back to work.
Okay, so back up and operating is kind of up to the discretion of the business on what that means in a way.
As far as I understand it, that's the case. I really don't see, you know, and again, how are they going to check? I don't even know. I mean, to me, the objective is really, it's more for the workers more than the employers, because the way I look at it is 75% is gone in payroll. A big chunk of the other item, the other 25% is going to go to make sure you pay your rent so you don't get evicted, because there's no protection on commercial leases at this point in time, and you know, keep the power and all the utilities going.
Okay. Next question coming through. We have someone who's an independent contractor in travel that works on commission. They are busy rescheduling, canceling bookings. Some commissions still trickle in. Wondering if they can apply for the PPE or apply for unemployment for independent contractors.
You know what? That's a really good question. That would be the unemployment. I'm not quite sure how that works, because you're still getting an income or whatnot, but definitely your income has been decimated. I would, but long story short is you're going to have to do your analysis and figure out which one is better for you. As a travel agent or any other type of person that is self-employed, that is trying, you know, is still working, but not getting paid per se.
So seems like that's a bit more of a complicated question. For the person that asked that, we're happy to connect with you after. And if you have your own CPA to work with to dig into that, we'd recommend that. But if you need a connection to one, we're happy to help you with that.
Yeah, it's a cost benefit analysis. At the end of the day, you want to know what's going to get you the most money, right?
Sure. Okay. Next question is someone saying the application says an extra 25% for expenses above payroll. No, and there's no place on the form to add the 25%.
So yeah, that's confusing.
I'm not sure
for sure
what the actual question is.
Oh, I understand, because I think I understand. So what's going on is the amount of the loan is based on 2.5 times of payroll. And then you can use 25% of that amount. So let's say your monthly payroll is, I don't know, $10,000, right? You then times 2.5 is 25,000, right? You at least have to use 20,000, so not 75%. Can't do math today, sorry guys. So at least you have to use $18,750 for payroll. And the rest is to cover the other non-payroll items that we discussed, such as rent, mortgage payments, and utilities. Caveat as well, payroll does not include the payroll taxes that you pay as an employer. So that, you know, the taxes that you pay as an employer, you know, your Medicare, your FICA, that 7.65% that you kick in, you still have to pay for it.
Okay. Second question, I'm trying to understand, so please add context if I don't get this correct for the person that asked this, but there's a question regarding leasing employees through a leasing company. I'm guessing they're asking if they can do that or include them.
My assumption is exclude them, but that's a really good question.
Okay. If you need clarity on that, we can follow up afterwards. I'm not sure if I'm asking the right question. So next here is a person's asking, they're confused about how to determine full-time employees. They had 3 to 4 part-time employees and no full-times.
Right.
Are they still eligible for the PPP loan?
They should be, but what they call is an FTE or full-time equivalent. So you're going to look at your hours on a weekly basis. or bi-weekly basis when you do your payroll. So let's say you got 4 employees that work 20 hours on a weekly basis. So that's 80 hours total. So that divided by 2, that's 40. So you got 2 FTEs, or the equivalent of 2 full-time employees.
Okay. All right, we don't have any other questions right now. Aldo, did you have any other pieces of this you wanted to go through?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that, let me see, I'm trying to dig out that spreadsheet that I had it very handy here, but let me take a, okay, let me share this screen. All right. All right, do you see the spreadsheet now? Assuming?
Yes.
So let's say you got your business, right, and your average monthly wages are $5,000. Then you also need, if you are, again, sole proprietor, you're gonna also include yourself there as part of that process. So let's say if you're Schedule C, you're showing net profit for the year, I put 3,000, let's say $36,000 annually, you need to divide that by 12. So that gives you $3,000. So in this scenario, your total monthly payroll cost, and again, this is not including payroll taxes. This is just straight up whatever you pay your employees. Payroll taxes is not factored into these equations. And the rate is 2.5%. The amount you're gonna borrow is $20,000. In order for the loan to be forgiven, you need to spend 75% of that, which in this case will be $15,000. Right, so again, I'm putting here an average weekly payroll here, or bi-weekly payroll would be $3,750. For good measure, I just added 10% for employer payroll taxes. That would cover your Medicare, Medicaid, unemployment, and so on. Then you got $5,000 left over. And you can use your $5,000 left over to pay for your lease payments, utilities, water, gas, telephone, internet. I'm looking at the list and somehow trash removal is not included. I'm assuming it will be, but it's not listed as one of those items. So the challenge here is, and again, this is one of the things we need more answers on, to be honest with you. As you can see in this scenario, there is not enough money to cover the $5,000 left over that I have here. So I still have $1,700. Technically, I'm not supposed to use that money for anything else than that. So I don't know if I have $1,700 left or whatever amount is, what happens then? Do I have to repay that back to the government? Or, because technically you're not allowed to use those funds for anything else but payroll or these expenses that I'm listing right here. So that's something that needs to be defined, and we need to get more information from the feds on that.
So Aldo, we have one more question here. Someone's saying they've seen conflicting information regarding the payroll period to use to calculate average monthly payroll. One place says to use 2019 numbers. Somewhere else says to use the 4.5 month period between February 15th, 2019 to June 30th, 2019. Do you know which is correct?
Both. So you want to use the one that is seasonal, the one that it looks at the 4.5 month period, especially here in Phoenix. We know that we're a service-oriented economy. So for a lot of businesses, your labor is going to be higher during the winter time, and when you average it out, it's going to inflate your summer months labor amounts higher. So they're giving the opportunity for you to look at those specific amounts, because again, you have to abide by that 75% rule. So they kind of want to help you be more realistic of what your normal payroll would be during those times, so you improve your chances to get your loans forgiven. Now, if your business is pretty consistent and your labor force hasn't really changed throughout the year, then use the average, annual average.
Great. Next question is regarding the variance of the additional $1,700 on the example in the spreadsheet you're given. It's saying, a max of 25% can go to things other than payroll. So can you use that extra $1,700 in this example to go toward payroll?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So because the challenge that I think a lot of business owners are going to have is bringing their full force back. You got to 75%, but the question is, what happens if I'm only able to bring 60% of them? So yeah, I mean, if you can spend 100% payroll, that's great. That's not a problem at all. You can definitely, again, this is really more of a accommodation by the government saying, we understand you're not able to bring everybody back. So you get 25% of those funds to be able to be used for other.
So one of the things that I would recommend as an opportunity is if businesses have an opportunity to negotiate their leases, if you do not own your building, and you can use more of these funds for payroll, that's an option. So next Friday, we're hosting another webinar with an attorney to go through your rights and opportunities that you have as a small business as it relates to negotiating your lease. So we're happy to send that out afterwards if you want information on that. That's all the questions we have for now, Aldo. Was there anything else on your mind that would be important to share?
One thing is 1099 contractors are not included as the payroll cost for you. So let's say you got somebody like me, a CPA that you retain on a monthly basis or whatnot. That person the payment to that person should not be included in the payroll calculation. I understand that in the last few days that we were told that they were going to be included, but that's not the case anymore.
So someone's asking, still not clear on where to apply for the PPP loan. Do you just walk into a bank and apply there? You're going to need to call your bank and you're going to have to get in line because everyone's calling right now. Again, we don't know, or we don't think that most banks and credit unions are even starting servicing the PPPs yet. While we know today is the first day you can start applying, they're still getting information coming in and they're confused too. So while we're hearing a lot about Bank of America right now, all the other banks and credit unions are confused as to why they can even start servicing loans. And they're only servicing people who have existing loan accounts with them. They're not even just servicing anybody who has an account. So I would just start by calling whoever your bank or credit union is and getting in line there so that you can be ready as soon as they're ready to apply. We also don't know how much is being allocated to each bank or credit union. So that's why it's important to get in touch with them right away.
Yeah. And again, one thing I caution you, especially if you're thinking about, the only reason why you're getting this loan is for the forgiveness, make sure that you run your numbers. I would hate for you guys to be in a situation where you take the money out and your employees choose not to come back. You cannot force your employees to come back. They might say, you know what, that's nice, but I'm just going to claim unemployment, and that's the route they want to go. So, my suggestion would be is kind of get an assessment of, who you believe is going to come back and, what the impact is going to be to your business. For what it is 75%. I don't know if this is going to be tiered down, if, the employees or you're only able to do 50% or not, but the way I look at it right now is either it's all or nothing. You hit the 75% threshold, and if you don't, you're in the hook for the loan.
Aldo, could you use the leftover dollars to that cash to repay towards the loan? You could, right?
You can always give it back. The question is, how does it work from a ratio standpoint? right? Because, you know, as long as you hit the 75, you can always give it back. That's not an issue. Yeah, there's no prepayment penalty. They cannot force you to take the money if you don't have the right expense to expense it on.
Great.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely run your numbers. Take a look at the options. The $10,000 option grant is definitely an option as well, but I would definitely look at your situation and see what makes sense. The reality is, when I talk to other business owners, is the employer is taking the role of a quasi-unemployment agency. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I can only imagine how the people at DES right now are overwhelmed, and I'm sure they're not, they just can't add people with that knowledge just like that. You just can't get a temp just to do that type of work. So this is kind of like, in my eyes, a safety valve where it allows you, the people that you care about, the people that work for you, to be able to collect a paycheck and still be able to, you know, continue their livelihoods and buy groceries and pay their bills. But, you know, again, please make sure that the numbers make sense, because I would hate for you guys to take that money out and just the rates, or you don't meet the requirements for the loan forgiveness, and next thing you know, you're stuck with a loan that you have to pay back for over a 24-month period.
Aldo, one last question from me for everyone is, for the EIDL loan you'd be applying for through the SBA website, what pieces of that are forgivable?
The $10,000 grant, the advance part, is forgivable. The rest is not.
So payroll, utilities, nothing.
Oh, the type of, yeah. The type of expenses. Sorry. Okay, I see what you're saying. Hold on one second here. So let's say if you're providing pay sick leave to employees unable to work due to direct effect of the coronavirus, which that's the case, maintaining payroll to retain employees during these times, meeting increased costs of obtaining materials unavailable for the applicant's original source due to interrupted business supply chain. So I'll give you an example. I have a client that, you know, as a brewery, they buy growlers and they cannot buy the growlers from their, you know, standard provider. So now they have to go somewhere else and pay extra for the same type of product. I'm sure there's a lot of businesses that they cannot buy from their standard suppliers, and now they have to pay a premium to buy from somebody else. Right. Making rent and mortgage payments, so you can use those funds for that as well. And the last one, which again is a very broad definition from my perspective, is repaying obligations that cannot be met due to revenue losses. So to me, it's pretty much, and you know, if you're a restaurant and you owe money to your food vendors, in my eyes, that should be an okay expense to run through that.
Yeah. So just from my perspective, and correct me if I'm wrong, Aldo, just breaking this down to business, you know, it seems like the SBA loan through the SBA website and the PPP loan are pretty much set up just differently to cover the same expenses that you may have as a business. The PPP loan, however, is done through the banks and is a bit more complicated as far as how you allocate the dollars. But the SBA loan is easier to apply, but might take longer to get the money.
Well, so the EIDL, you apply through the website. It's pretty straightforward as far as I can tell. It's a couple pages as well. It's live, which is a plus, right? I think for a smaller business, the $10,000 loan might make more sense, and you don't have that 75% rule where the monies have to go to payroll. So let's say if you need to pay your rent and you got a good sizable rent amount, that may be a better play for you. Plus you get the money sooner. In my eyes, you know, I've been told 5 days to fund the loan, but if these banks don't have anything live yet, well, you know what? I'll believe when I see it if you're able to fund in 5 days. And I don't blame the banks. It's the government is you know, trying to push this through, but really there is not, we don't have all our ducks in a row. So right now, if you need the money now, the $10,000 makes sense. there is more leeway on how to apportion the monies that you get, the $10,000, where you're not, as far as I understand it, unless they change it, obviously, you're not required to use 75% of the $10,000 for payroll, but you can allocate it more, there's more flexibility in the allocation and according to your needs.
Yeah. And I have heard conflicting situations from different people going through the SBA application. I have heard testimonies that people still haven't heard back about being approved. I've also heard people who have requested the $10,000 before getting approved, which you can do,
Right.
and they've gotten the $10,000 into their bank account within hours.
Right.
So there's different situations. Don't expect one thing or another, but if you are going to apply for the EIDL through the SBA website, do it now, get it in, and request that $10,000 before the loan is approved if you can. From my understanding, Aldo, correct me if I'm wrong, even if you get denied the loan, you do not have to pay back the $10,000.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. And again, I haven't navigated this application for the EIDL loan, but I'm assuming you could ask for a $10,000 loan. So basically, you're just applying for the grant.
Right. So one more question. In normal course of business, a business might use some of the revenue toward expansion. With no revenue, however, could they use the funds from the EIDL for those expansion efforts, even though doors are closed?
Oh, I don't think so, unless they change it. I don't. I mean, basically, the spirit of this bill is to help people, stay afloat, not so much to expand business.
Yeah, there may be some, like if you already started expanding and you have accounts payable to vendors, that might fall under obligations that can't be met due to revenue losses, potentially, but not to start a new expansion as far as I'd understand.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say if you're committed by February 15th, which is that's the magic date, then I don't think you can start something now.
Someone else is asking, they said they filled out an application on Monday. They got an email with an application number and told they'd be emailed after their loan application was considered, asking if it usually takes 5 days.
Okay. So is that more of a comment or a question? I'm sorry.
Asking if you know, does it take 5 days or how long it takes to hear back?
Honestly, it's all over the place. I've been hearing, I've been hearing, and I think it depends on the amount. My suspicion is depending on how much you're asking for, just understanding like how banking institutions work, there's different tiers where something might be, you ask for a $20,000 loan and be very automated, where you ask for a $250,000 loan and there's just a different procedure for that type of loan. So I would say, each individual experience is going to be different.
Someone's also providing feedback that you can no longer request a specific amount for the EIDL. You just have to apply.
Well, there you go.
So, so someone is just saying they applied already and has still not been contacted. So yeah, that's kind of the stories we're hearing right now. People either are getting contacted already or are not at all. So you just got to apply and wait. Someone's asking, since they don't know how long the situation is going to go on for, can they apply for an SBA loan, then change the amount or apply again? If applying for the SBA loan, you can't put in an amount anymore.
Right.
So you just have to apply.
Right.
And then someone's commenting / saying they believe your location has to be open in order to apply for loans.
I believe is you have to be open and operating by that date. If you have to, let's say a restaurant where they decided to shut down the store because there's no activity, that's okay as long as you bring your people back. So the question is, again, the definition is just people bringing back so they can get a paycheck, because I don't see any requirements to revenue. So you still may be required to operate. That's the one that I may not have a lot of clarity on. But to me, the biggest or the theme here is getting people paychecks. That's what it is, and you're not getting kicked out of your building because you're not making the rent or getting your power or water shut off. I mean, and again, it goes back down to that conversation, right? You can bring people back, but if they got nothing to do, then how does that look? I mean, I'm assuming there could be employers where they just have people show up at their place, hang out, play board games, and then go home.
All right, there's no other questions right now. Do you have anything else, Aldo?
No, I say definitely keep an eye on the links that I sent to you guys. Is straight to the SBA and the Treasury Department for the application. I wouldn't be surprised if they keep changing things again. And the reality is nobody knows what's going on. We all have bits and pieces, and we're trying to do the best we can to navigate this issue. I would be leery of people that, I've seen even advertising or what emails or whatnot saying, oh, we know what's going on, this, and that. The reality, I don't think anybody knows everything. We're learning as we go, really.
So we'll continue updating everyone as we get more information at Local First. We're gonna just watch this thing hour by hour, day by day, keep informing you. If we can be of support to you, just reach out. We will share these notes to you. We're actually we're recording this right now, so we'll have this recording available afterwards for you or your team or any colleagues. I think just kind of to summarize what Aldo shared today and what we're learning at Local First is if you qualify to apply for the SBA EIDL loan through that site, go ahead and do it. You can turn down the money later. If you're going to do it, go ahead and request the $10,000 to get to you before the loan is approved. You may be able to get access to that cash before your loan is even approved. We know that nonprofits, besides 501c3s and 501c19s, cannot apply. So those are the only two. And then if you're going to apply for the PPP loan, it has to be done through a bank, likely has to be done through your bank. And the banks and credit unions are still getting information on how to handle those. So if you can't get a hold of somebody yet, just be patient and be ready. Have all of your information together. Tax documentations, everything that you need. Calculate what you're gonna put together and be ready for it so that it will speed up the process once you get there. This recording will be made available on the Local First Arizona COVID-19 resource page afterwards, and we'll also share it with our partners at Downtown Tempe and Valley Metro, and maybe they can email it out as well. So wanted to thank everybody. If you need to get in touch with me or Aldo, I've dropped my email into the chat box here, and appreciate everybody's time.
Thanks for the opportunity, Thomas.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.